questions? Hearing none. Dr. Sugar. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
So the finance department, as always, we are kick off the budget season. So lots of purchasing that happened after July 1. That's kind of like the slurry of all our purchase orders happened between July and August for the start of the school year. As I mentioned, we are in the thick of audit prep. That will be most concluded here by the end of this month and beginning of next month. Most of our transactions that are outstanding happen between August and September. So that's the finance side, and then operations, we're looking through the transition with mostly transportation, getting Christ onboarded, getting their stuff. We are currently looking to offload our fleet and bring their fleet on ours. So you'll see on the agenda tonight that authorization to sell off of our fleet and scrap some items. So just want to update the board on the status of that quick. We're looking to sell, I know we had some estimates, sell 10 buses and 3 vans. We just updated the list as of today. We heard some feedback. We're going to scrap 4 buses, 1 minibus, and 1 van due to some lingering issues they have. And we are going to keep 2 buses, 2 10-passenger vans, our 1 minivan, and our 1 driver's ed vehicle. So that would be that list. That's what that list kind of displays that we're going to keep and what we're going to sell. But that's basically been the finance and operations for the summer.
Any questions for Tom?
Tom, the big question, the $1 million question that really affects the district. What is going to be the impact of the state budget being late and the federal funding part of it too?
So the state budget, since it's still an impasse, we are using local funds at the moment until the state would release a budget. We can use that. At the moment, we do have enough funds to get it through. We are always cash heavy due to the tax influx here at the beginning of the year. But once that would run out, if the state would still be, we would be looking at some hard decisions we have to look at. What about the?
Let me interject here 1 second. What you were here when we went through this once before, if I remember correctly. What did we do? What was our contingency plan back then? I'll let you explain it.
So
I think you were here.
So what we would do is we would keep utilizing local funds that would get us through probably another 4 or 5 months. Hopefully the state would have something by then and they would release all of our funds. So the last time we had enough to get us through until the state released. I know there's discussions at the state level now is they're talking about doing a 6-month to get most school districts and other people who are waiting on the state through while they have some more in-depth discussions and then doing the next 6 months, which would get us through. If that would not happen and they would linger too long, we would have to go out through other means.
What was our contingency plan?
So those are usually going out to banks and asking for short-term loans to then pay back when the state does release funds. That's usually the typical answer for that.
So the state's the guarantor.
Yeah, we have to wait till they release.
Well,
40% we rely on the state, about 40% of our budget, so we can't do without that. On the federal standpoint, we are waiting for the federal government to release the funds to us. They're kind of they said yes, but they didn't release them. So Dr. Bergman and I are meeting on that tomorrow.
And how much does the federal government give us again?
Around
We were just
425.
yeah, it's right around, a little over 400,000.
And again, how much from the state?
I believe about 15 million.
So the federal government does a whole lot for us.
Yeah.
Isn't it less than 10%?
From the feds, yes.
Yeah, I thought I was looking at the pie chart where it's unbelievable what the feds do, less than 10%.
Especially without the lesser money we're
What Tom doesn't say in this little, if and when they don't pay, by the way, it's July 42nd?
June.
Or June. Or
It's
June.
yeah.
June. So it's because it's supposed to be done by end of June is when so we're still in June, by the way. We're still in June. Yeah, the state budget's supposed to be done by then. If we have to take out short-term loans, we get hit with the interest. We don't, they don't, just because we have to take out short-term loan to pay the bills, we still have to pay that interest back no matter how long.
Has that ever happened before, Carl?
Not in my 12 years. It came close the last time.
It hasn't happened in this district, but obviously.
It's happened.
Other districts did, the last time they did it, other districts because they were not in the financial straits that we were, had to take out money out. But because of the business administration we have here, they're pretty good. And this should be a good sign for you folks to, when you're voting, that the
That's what I was
budget,
gonna say.
but they keep trying to take the funding out of the locals and let them distribute it all back to us, this is the reason that you don't want to do it. Because this is the second time in 4 years, Tom.
Yeah, I believe the last time was 2021.
Yeah, so, okay, anybody else have any questions for Tom?
Now, Tom, before you change, that was two buses, two 10-passenger buses?
You mean
Or no,
the-
two buses, two 10-passenger vans, one minivan and one driver's ed vehicle.
Correct, that's what we're keeping, from our fleet, and then as time goes on, we'll reassess, but that's what we wanted to keep, the transition of price, we had some vehicles on hand. But as everything, every year, we'll come back and we'll reassess the necessity of those vehicles as time goes on.
And these buses would be the two newest ones?
Correct, yeah, bus 80 and 81
Plus the 80.
are two most newest ones, I think, 2024 and 2022 or 2023.
I was a bit surprised to see the mileage on all the buses that were getting rid of. That was incredible. They had a lot of miles.
Any other questions? Dr. Golden, you're up. Ms. Golden.
Soon enough, soon enough.
Excuse me, doctor.
Well, good evening. So I am here tonight to talk to you about the TSI plan that was developed for the coming year for Maple Avenue. So TSI, Targeted Support and Intervention, is a designation that we receive from the state for schools that have one or more student groups that are, their data, it's not always about achievement scores, but the data is below the state established standards. So the state recognizes that and targets those schools in those areas. This time last year, I stood before you because we were designated at Maple Avenue. You may remember it was specifically in the areas of academic growth and achievement for our students with disabilities, and specifically for our attendance, our regular attendance percentage, again, for students with disabilities. So that is what the plan I presented to you last year. We worked diligently on it, and we'll continue to work on those things. But for the coming year, our designations expanded a bit, but we're in the same general areas. So we're talking about achievement in math and ELA, based on our PSSA, but this time for all students, and regular attendance, but this time for all students. So the interesting thing I'll tell you about that, before I go any further, is that the data that is used for designations is essentially 2 years old before the plan even goes into place. So what I mean is, during last school year, the school we just wrapped, I received in the fall, winter, the designation for making this goal for the 25-26 coming school year, based on the data from the year before. So all of that to say, when we start working on this plan for the coming school year, it's based on data that is 2 years old, on students that essentially could not even be in our building anymore. The only reason I tell you that is because we have a designation this year, this coming year, for attendance for all students. If you were to look at our current attendance data, it looks pretty good. So that doesn't still seem to be an urgent problem. We still have ways to grow, ways to improve, and we need to show sustained improvement over time. So I don't say that to diminish that designation, but it is not as urgent as the 2 year ago data looked when they just gave us that designation. So again, not an excuse, just a little bit of the context. My purpose tonight is to share with you some of the action steps in pursuit of the goals that we've had to create around these designations. I hope that you'll see that it focuses on instruction, alignment, and accountability. So I did give each of you at your seats just a very, very brief handout. Take home for your refrigerator copy. And basically this is the big bird's eye view of the action steps and goals around our designations. So the first one is about increasing proficiency in math and ELA as demonstrated on the PSSA for all students at an increase of 5% proficiency. So then what I needed to do was work with some folks at Maple Avenue to talk about what does that look like as far as what are we going to do to try to move that needle towards increasing our proficiency at least 5% in each of those areas. So instructional alignment is where we're deciding to focus. And the vehicle for that are through things that you've heard me talk about before, but with some tweaks. So I've talked about the collaborative planning that the math and the English departments have with one another so that they can work together on a regular basis. And they will continue that work, aligning their instruction towards the standards, refining their proficiency scales, coming up with assessments that assess what we intend to assess, and then reviewing that data for the instructional response. And what we mean by that is, okay, you've given an assessment, doesn't necessarily mean it's a test, it could just be a classroom activity. It's giving you, though, as a teacher, information or data about which kids know what and which kids need what. So now what, right? So that's the instructional response. It's deciding what I'm going to do for the different pockets of learners in my classroom based on that data. Again, data and analysis, with a real focus this year on questioning. I'm going to task those collaborative teams with learning more about how to formulate questions to elicit the sort of information that you actually intend to elicit from students based on what they know and how to do that. And there's a real art and science to crafting questions, and they often don't happen on the fly. So you have to craft them and plan for them ahead of time with your collaborative peers in the planning process. So that'll be a focus there. During your department meetings, we're going to continue our work with open-ended responses. I've talked about that many times in front of you, how we are working to improve those scores. But I want to really take a deep dive this year with the teachers in their departments to research together how instructional time should be, could be, would be spent in a middle school classroom for our age groups of students. So if you imagine we have a 50-minute, we'll just pretend a 50-minute math class. How do we divvy up those 50 minutes? And what is a priority for our time? Where might we be wasting time? What does the research tell us about how our instructional minutes should be spent to be most efficient with our students? And then to do that then consistently. Okay. And then the last thing for instruction is, again, those peer classroom visits. I shared some anecdotes last year of teachers who were able to see their exact grade level counterpart teach in real time 3 or 4 times throughout the school year. So we're going to continue that, but also we're going to add in the vertical perspective where you, regardless of which grade you are currently teaching, will be able to observe the other 2 grade levels in the building teach, so that when we're having those departmental discussions, you really begin to have that vertical view not only of the content but of instructional practices. So those are some of the high points on our math and achievement goal. The other goal then being attendance, again, as I said, doesn't feel as urgent as perhaps it did 2 years ago, but still just trying to sustain those improvements. We kind of take a 3-tiered approach to attendance. The first, if you imagine tier 1 or universal supports for all students, just building a sense of safety, pride, and belonging in our school community. If Maple Avenue is a place where people want to come, they're more likely to come, right? And that has to be, when you think about a middle schooler waking up in the morning, if they know that they are going to feel safe and happy at Maple Avenue, they're much more likely to come. We have our monthly pride meetings, our monthly theme lessons. We try various ways to recognize all sorts of students. And we have our PBIS, which recognizes maybe every 6 or so weeks and rewards students who have met our criteria of keeping decent grades, meeting our expectations on a regular basis, and just doing what they're supposed to do when they come to school. So those are universal for all students. Tier 2, if you will, these are students who maybe are experiencing some truancy, trying to build connections with them and help them to understand that they have a person at school, somebody who will notice if they're not there. Ms. Glass maybe talked with you last year about her lunch bunch groups. We had a couple of mentorships happening, and we can plan to continue those because that was an extremely powerful intervention. The last thing is for students who are considered habitually truant, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania defines habitually truant students as students who have had 6 unexcused absences, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot. We have students who unfortunately have missed a lot more than 6 days of school unexcused. And so trying to put some resources in the hands of those families and the students to help remove any barriers to attendance. So sometimes it may be things that are happening in their home situation that is a barrier to their attendance. Sometimes the barrier to their attendance is something that's happening in the school building. But we need to sit as a team with the family and the student to determine where those things are breaking down and figure out what we can do to support them as a family unit, but also what we might be able to do at school. Oftentimes in those conversations, things are brought to our attention and brought to light that we were perhaps unaware of, but it was a factor in a student avoiding school. And then being able to mitigate that, open the doors for them to come back and feel safe and happy at school. So just those resources are really important. So that is what we're working on. Again, as a bird's eye view, we'll continue to monitor throughout the school year to make sure that we're on the right track. Any questions?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I remember you saying that you guys discovered that kids didn't know how to take the test probably by reading the questions. So you were teaching them how
Yeah.
to grab information out of the
Sure.
questions, they answered the right question. Is that been incorporated and you keep doing that?
Yes, and that was what I was talking about, the open-ended response work that we had been doing, that we are continuing that. We continue to refine that process that occurs both in English and in math. They do that monthly. So that has not gone by the wayside, that's just now a part of what we do. Thank you.
Okay. All right, on to the regular school board. Steve, you're up.
Okay.
Always think, anybody have any questions or concerns with the minutes?
I do, Carl.
Okay?
Terry, I just want to correct you on the 6:16 minutes. You knew it was coming, didn't you?
Oh, wait a second, hold on, wait, I was supposed to say something.
Remember, I wasn't
Hold on,
here.
I'm sorry. Please, be considerably nice to Carrie and Tom, as
I am.
Carrie was not here, Tom did his best.
I am.
Tom's shorthanded.
Tom tried so hard.
So, I apologize, I forgot.
Sorry, Carrie.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
I
with that
thought-
said, with that said.
Go ahead.
On the minutes, on item D2, E1, and E2, you spelled Yerger, Y-E-G-E-R instead of Y-E-R-G-E-R.
Oh, okay. Tom, can you?
That's the only thing I noticed.
What was that?
It was D2, E1, and E2.
Good delegation of duties.
All right.
You'll see him down the
I'll
bottom.
check his work tomorrow. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I don't trust him.
Is there any
Sorry,
other
Steve.
questions to the minutes? Okay, Steve, back to you.
Okay. So, Finance, Property, and Supply Committee Court, here we have recommended approval for the 2025-26 ambulance coverage agreement. Did everybody get a chance to go to that?
Yeah, I have a question. So in the agreement, it says the dates are August 22nd, 29th, September 26th, October 3rd, and 24th. But that's not what I saw as the football schedule on the website. It said October 2nd and the 10th and the 24th. So it's missing the 10th. It's not the 3rd, it's the 2nd. So I just wanted to make sure those dates are correct. Because that's not what's on the website.
Can I ask one question about all that? Why do we have to put dates, why can't we just say home varsity football games?
I don't know, I'm just saying.
I think it's part of the contract, you have to have the dates listed, so
Alright.
we'll get with Dr.
I went
Becker
on
and
the
Mr.
website and looked
Alsakis
at the
and
sports
see.
schedule.
So what happens if we have to postpone a football game due to a hurricane blows through, so we can't have it? Does that mean we can't, since that date wasn't listed?
That means we need to contact the ambulance and let them know that it was canceled, rescheduled, and do you have an ambulance available?
All right.
Then we have to be on call
You know,
if they don't have an ambulance available.
All right. Sounds like
We'll go
it's
through everything we can to make sure we have.
Any other questions or comments on that item? Hearing none, okay. Recommend approval, the $600 Eagles organization to support the student funds at ACES. We'll talk about that, it's pretty self-evident. Okay. The listed transportation and vehicle for auction with 422 sales and scrap. Tom kind of touched on it. Is there any other thoughts, questions that anybody has to talk about?
Doesn't look like you get much for scrap buses.
Nope.
Those are quoted from the local scrapyard. They come out and that list is updated today, so it's not reflective of here, but if you go on the online version, it is updated with the updated list with the 2 extra scrap. For the as-is, the auction house recommended that we should scrap those because they will be out virtually the same.
Any other thoughts or questions on that? Change order 47 for completed work for reroute storm drain and relocate existing manhole. Tim, I'd like you to maybe touch on that a little bit.
Sure. Change order 47, that began a while back, I would say more than a year or so. When we were introducing C-Wing and C-Wing was being completed, manhole cover was found to be above grade for the ground level for C-Wing, along with some sewer pipes, and at that time we introduced a pending change order to be able to begin that process and not hold anything up. The issue that we have is that ECI has been in contact with the district, first giving us a certain number, then taking it down as Victor argued what needed to be done. We finally had it to a price that is the lowest time and materials for the change. We showed a sign of good faith to be able to say, yep, it needs to be done, it's a change, go ahead and do that, so that we didn't hold up the project. ECI does not do a very good job, in my opinion, of providing us with change orders in a timely fashion. However, the flip side of that, it does allow Victor more time to argue the case, to have it be cheaper overall. So it's a situation where it was completed already so that we could have the C-Wing done. We're just now getting the change order because we've agreed on a price.
Any thoughts or questions on that?
Tim, is this totally a new cost, or is this something that's been working for a while? I mean, is this 36,000 originally in the original building?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what it came in as, and we're paying, I think, $25,700, and I can't remember the last two, $13 or $14. Yeah. So Victor, one benefit of that is Victor was able to argue that cost and get them down to that price.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Dr. Mitchell, can you go over the typical process of approval for change orders and the completion of work?
Sure. Change orders are supposed to be submitted as far as pending change orders come through. We take a look at them. It's written up, it's provided. ECI will provide us with the change order, or J.R. Reynolds, or MICO, whichever our prime contractor is, will provide us with a change order. We approve the change order, and the work is then done. In this situation, if I may, in this situation, the change order was not correct, and there was arguments between the cost for the work that needed to be done. The work needed to be done regardless of what happened. So the contractors went through and in good faith began the work so that we didn't hold up the project. As you saw tonight, Gil stated that we had 1 day for 1 day for weather, 2 days for electric. Had we waited for this whole process, we'd still be waiting for the C-Wing. Any other questions?
Is there any other questions? Okay.
On that one, what about the second one?
That's what we're gonna talk
Oh,
about.
okay.
Change order 97 to complete and prep and paint of the Gold Gym. Again, I would defer to Tim.
Sure. In the original process between RLPS and our district superintendent, the work was not put in the process to paint the Gold Gym. As we went through and completed all the work, it was something that we deemed that needed to be completed because we would not want to have a Gold Gym that was not completed and fully ready for everyone. So the process is to paint the gym. We have them available. We had no meetings over the summer to be able to do that. Tonight you saw a picture of the Gold Gym painted, so the work is done. However, that is the process of the change order getting to us late, again, arguments to be able to try to lower the price and get the best available option for the district.
Seems like a lot of money to paint, and I guess I'm confused why it wasn't in the initial.
Good question.
That's a very good
Why
question,
wasn't
Mrs. Ressler. I don't have the answer to that because I was not the superintendent who worked with RLPS to put that project together. I'm finding a number of those different scenarios as I come through, and each time I'm sharing them with the board.
All right, is there any other thoughts or questions on that?
So, do we know if there are any other, if there's any other change order work that's been done that we're going to receive the change orders for board approval or for your approval for work that's already been done?
I'm not aware of any, but that doesn't mean that they won't come or exist.
Because
I can only bring them to you as I become aware of them.
I was surprised after our discussion last week to see a picture of the Jim Peak.
It wasn't Danny's problem. That's all that was. That was just to keep the dust down.
Okay, so we have payment of invoices for June and July, general fund checks.
Up and down agreement.
Yeah, there's
All
nothing
right,
there.
thank you, we're gonna jump ahead here. Anybody have any thoughts on Hoffman Home Agreement? Is there anything that needs to be talked about? Questions?
I didn't get it.
It's a placeholder for an agreement that we typically have every year with Hoffman Homes. If we don't have it, it won't be on the agenda if we don't
As
receive
soon
it.
as I get it, they'll send it. So if I use their services, then I can send students there.
Just like River Rock and all
Yeah.
those, we just agreements to say, hey, we got somebody send your way. Back to you, Steve.
Okay, general fund checks. Is there any thoughts, comments, questions?
Yes, I have 3, but one, I don't know if we have to go to executive session for or not, just for clarification.
Go ahead and just say it, because unless you talk what it is.
This is
I don't know if I
in
can.
reference to personnel.
These are,
Yeah.
they're blue links though, they're not red.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I can just ask?
If it's blue links, it's public
Okay,
information.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, it's okay.
Just curious, I just have something, just for clarification. Berryman vacation payout, what is that?
Recommend vacation payout. I believe in our contracts every year, we have a certain amount of vacation days that we are able to get reimbursed for us per diem.
Okay,
Mine actually, in my contract, has to go to my 403B. So it wasn't dispersed, well, I mean, kind of to me, but it went to my 403B.
okay.
Right.
You mean she doesn't take it?
She doesn't take it for
If
last,
she
for the last year?
chooses, yeah,
It's for
if
last
she-
year, means
Yeah.
I didn't
Right.
take those days, and in my contract, I have a number of days I can have paid out to my 403B.
Okay, all right, thank you, sorry, I
No, that's okay.
wondered about that, okay, thank
It's
you.
public knowledge. It's
Okay, thank you. Second, there, it said new tank gouge repair for $800.70. Was that for any of the fleet that we're getting rid of, or is that something different?
Can you give me the vendor name?
Oh, yeah, took a screenshot of it, let me look here. PWI Incorporated on June 12th. I just don't know what that's for,
That would be for our diesel tank.
a diesel tank. Oh, here at the school that we use.
Yeah, we had to do that
Okay.
before, remember I talked about, that was part of our corrective action, we had to correct
Okay.
our outdated diesel tank. They came in and that's part of that work.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then just another, one Mark Donuts for $46.79.
That's getting expensive.
I mean, everything adds up, so I'm just, asking, it's from
assuming it had to be
Kenny's
from
on June
Kenny's.
12th.
When was it?
I would
June
say, a
12th.
lot of times our reward program for donuts.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we provide reward. Each building principal does something like that. I try to stay away from that.
That's a lot of donuts for lunch.
We do get donuts for staff and
Okay.
for, folks. Each building principal does different rewards for their staff. Donuts are one of them.